formed in a dream, kept in a thought, carried across oceans, spoken in whispers, passed down from elders, planted in gardens of okra, prayed for in sanctuaries, resisted with fury, protected with faith, created with love, born into being, from root to bone. You are here.
This podcast talks about colonial, racial, and gender-based violence. Please listen at your own pace and capacity. And remember to do what you need to do to care for yourself if you feel activated by this content. Should you need resources, please check out our section on resources at decolonizingtherapy.com. Be well. Welcome, my good people. This is Dr. Jenn, and I'm here grounding and bringing us an amazing guest today. Before I get into this guest, allow me to invite you to take a few breaths. This podcast is being recorded like a day or two after the US elections. There is so much in the air. There's so much in our bodies. And actually, the timing couldn't be more freaking perfect. And whenever you listen to this, whenever you receive this, just know that you're getting it at exactly the right time. I'm going to invite you to make sure you're resourced, grab some water, take a breath, unlock your jaw, let your belly out, maybe throw out a scream if you're able to. Tap on your body if that feels good to you. For me, I'm often a tapper all across my chest and the back of my kidneys and even right under my eye sockets. There is so much happening and floating in the air, and there might be so much happening and floating in you. And as somebody who is constantly receiving and attempting to shift through what is my shit and what belongs to the collective unconscious, what belongs to collective anxiety, what belongs to my ancestors, what belongs to my loved ones around me, what belongs to the people that I'm working with, the invitation is that you take a few seconds to melt. And the invitation is that you take a few seconds to think about one thing that you can do to resource you. And maybe it is listening from root to bone, the podcast. Maybe it is drinking warm water than you normally do. Maybe it is grounding and placing your feet on earth. Maybe it is snuggling with your four-legged fuzzy friend. And maybe it is checking in on someone that may need some extra love, even if they are your strong, badass go-to friend. And so, as we purposely leave some space to breathe, to recalibrate, I am deeply, deeply, deeply grateful to invite in the Alex March. And before I get into an intro of who Alex is and how I've met Alex many years ago, I don't even know how many years, but many years ago, I am bringing to our virtual kind of sacred space, our virtual altar, this beautiful kind of energetic orb that often helps me when I am feeling that I'm just like too connected to too much technology. And this reminds me of like Archangel Metatron. This takes away some of the like EMF icky rays that kind of floats around me. And this also kind of is black and gold sparkly, which just reminds me of Alex. There's something about it that is sort of like otherworldly and at the same time very badass. Hello, martial arts. And at the same time, just like deeply etheric, celestial, and beautiful. And so I'm going to lay this onto our space. And I want to read to you and read to our guest, Alex, some words that Alex has written that has like rocked my fucking world and reminded me that some of the shit that I talk around decolonizing therapy is not exactly shit, right? And that comes from a deeper place, maybe comes from a channeled place, even when we don't always have the exact research and qualitative information to prove initially what it is that we're bringing into a space and what it is that I'm bringing into a space. And so I'm going to read, and Alex, I'm going to invite you to receive for just a second. some of the badassness that you've written. Yeah. So the fact that trauma causes damage to the brain, nervous system, adrenal, gut, neurobiological system, and various others is proof that emotional abuse and neglect can cause autoimmune, chronic pain, inflammation, and answer so many mysteries of our body. Trauma is not something we just get over. And every cell in our body changes to adapt to survive and sees the self and world through a lens of survival and danger and opposes to how they ever did before. Children don't know the difference. That child becomes the adult who unconsciously romanticizes not being valued or seen, not because it's healthy, but because it's safe. People cannot just get over what's happened to them. Trauma hits the body on such deep levels that most medical professionals don't incorporate this into diagnoses. I'll even add mental health professionals as part of the medical area. Sometimes, after traumatic events, when we become chronically sick, we sink deeper into the abusive aftermath because we think there's no way out. Stress and anxiety are such invalidating blanket terms. The brain can heal. The body can heal. You can heal. I believe you. I see you. Last one. I couldn't just pick one. Forgive me. Trauma increases vulnerability to both GI and mental health symptoms. Talk therapy is not enough. The body holds onto these stories and weakens systems, feeding old narratives of comfort, which isn't safe. Also, it's probably why you're still dating your childhood. Woo! Oh my gosh. Okay. So, Alex is an evidential medium, physical and emotional empath, medical intuitive, Reiki master teacher, and can read anything about your life, past, present, and future. Alex can be found approaching strangers with messages from their departed loved ones in public, reading people in bathrooms, and overall using her presence to help anyone that comes in her path. Alex is also an incredibly accomplished martial artist. She believes using all modalities in healing of the mind and body and soul is key to full healing. So allow me to also say, before we hand it over, that I don't know, maybe like 8 years ago, 7 years ago, I don't even know how long, 10 years ago,
It's a
long time. We spent hours on the phone together. I like intuitively felt like I needed to have a reading with Alex. And it was like hours on the phone from different parts of my body, organs, emotional trauma, how it was deeply connected to my organs, and my cat, which Alex remembered right before we got on. And allow me to say, like, most of us know that decolonizing therapy seeks to ask us to look at what else is fucking possible, right? What else is possible? And this podcast is asking us, what else is possible? What are other ways that we need to integrate teachings of teachers like Alex and others into our lives to not just rely on mainstream only systems of care, because those don't always work out for us or give us what we need.
they're put in place to
Make us sick and tired. And then I'm going to keep saying it and overwhelmed. So, Alex, welcome. The crowd goes wild.
thank you for having me. This is very exciting.
How did you, any thoughts about what I read or anything I said? How are you feel? How do you receiving that?
The way you read it, like, so to have such a channeled brain and the way that I hear things in my head, the way you read it made me feel like it was so much more profound than when my brain, like the way you read it, I was like, oh my gosh, that's true. And I was like, no, you came up with
You came up with that. Yeah, you, and that's my question. Like, did you come up with that? Do you, is it a
yeah.
relationship?
So that the specific first post that you read came off of so I've been a channel since I'm a kid, medical intuitive since I died and came back to life. Basically feel everything inside of people, heal literally down to the cell. But it was 3 years ago that I left a very psychologically damaging relationship and both my dogs died. That I got so sick I almost died. I will never gaslight myself and be like, but look at what you got from it. Look at what happened. I will never do that because I hold space. And then eventually when I'm in a good place, I could be like, okay, I can receive the wisdom from it.
Yeah.
But I was on my deathbed. I lost my ability to talk, walk, see, bedridden for 3 months. I gave up. And then I said, okay. I felt myself going in and out of my body, in and out of my body. And I said, okay, if you wake up tomorrow, you fight. Because I've never given up before. To know me is to know. I'm like, am I allowed to curse?
Yes.
Block that. So I survived through spite. You know what I mean? You have to, at some capacity, we have to honor those sacred emotions where it's like, oh, you tried to do this.
No.
That's how my career started. But I got so sick. And then I woke up and I said, all right, fuck this. We fight. And I channeled in my body the deepest I've ever went. And then I said, okay, wherever I have to go. And I kept hearing homeopathy. And I was like, okay. Found homeopathic doctor, told him what was going on with me. He gave me stuff and he explained that cellular trauma, which I've always understood, right? You understand it on a level, you can conceive it. You can say, cellular level, this is smaller, but homeopathy is that small. Herbs are not that small. And it went down into the cell. And when I tell you, I took like 5 types of drops, and the rage and the anger that purged out of me was I could have fucking burnt a forest to the ground with what came out of me. So it's very connected to your message. And I think you and I have always kind of been on the same page of like sacred rage. Your rage is valid.
Feel it. Fucking feel it. Yeah.
When I was able to understand that I had rage, but I didn't know where to put it. Because where do you put something when you're watching things you love more than yourself sick and you can't do anything? And you just left a psychologically damaging relationship and you're in the why and you're just stuck in this matrix of, I don't know what's going. And then, so it was holding in and suppressing my rage, which is not normal for me, but it was so situational, caused me to get so sick. But that caused me to have the rebirth of my next path, which I somehow am always dying. Dying.
Yes, I can kind of relate to that. Whether it's on I don't know if you mean it this way too, whether it's on a physical level,
physical.
Energetic. Oh, physical. Okay, for you, it's
both.
physical. Okay.
100% both. But like 17. So I died at birth. I'm a medium my whole life. I see those that are departed. I physically feel that they felt past.
Do you think that all mediums, sorry to cut you off, but do you think that all mediums have near-death experiences? Yeah.
Whether it's a traumatic birth story, emergency C-section, you could be trapped between two worlds for a little bit.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So this death, would you say these deaths, these near-death experiences, each time do you feel like this channel, the mediumship gets stronger and more vast? And if you could break this down to someone that is like, what exactly is a medium? I don't know if I believe this shit. Or someone that's like, I think I receive information, but it's not like you do, Alex.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if you could break that down a little bit for those kind of people.
So mediumship is a deep connection to the quantum timeline. It's a deep connection to a vibrational quantum biofield that most people aren't capable of seeing. I am such a truth seeker, and I'm kind of an asshole about myself that I have always been very determined to understand the science behind what I do and not just say like, oh, you have to believe in this thing, because that doesn't work for people. People need faith, and people need to actually be able to believe in something they could tangibly understand. So it's, you know how you just get a feeling sometimes, that overwhelming feeling of love, that overwhelming feeling of joy, just all overwhelming feelings. That's what it feels like when spirit comes through. They're everywhere. They're not separate from us. They're just in a different, like, quantum field. And energy cannot be created nor can it be destroyed. And we are made of energy. So an energy that I am capable of physically feeling. So spirit will channel through me. I will physically feel how it felt for spirit to pass. And that's a session with me. You don't tell me anything, and you know that firsthand. I
Absolutely.
tell you everything I'm feeling because I want people to have faith in something again.
Yeah.
Whether that be a God, a religious God, a universe, nature, trees, animals. I want people to be able to have faith again.
Yeah.
So that's the science part of it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's the feeling of, oh, I feel like I'm having a thought that's not quite my own. That could be for some people. For me, oh, okay, this is spirit. My body shifts. I become whoever I'm talking to. I physically feel blocks in their body. I physically feel what's sitting in their body down to the cell. I physically feel what organ is out of whack. I feel tingles in the hand. I feel headaches. I feel toothaches. I feel literally everything because my body is just a vessel of showing people how trauma has really sat in their body.
Yeah.
And the epigenetics, like I could hear inside kidneys. I could hear the kidney say, like, no, this is my mom. Like, this isn't mom. How to get rid of this.
Yes, Alex. And it's funny. I think that we had this brief exchange, like very, very brief, when I was asking you about coming onto the podcast. So, and I'll share with folks because part of doing this work is wanting to be more transparent and breaking down this fucking myth that like people that are in the mental health field have to just never make it about themselves and never talk about themselves and act as though we don't have needs because that is erroneous and I think super unhealthy. But all of September and probably for the last 6 months, I think that I was housing these kidney stones and I got super sick and was forced to get hospitalized. And I pride myself on like, I can handle pain. I was like brought to my knees,
And
literally,
that's why the kidney
figuratively.
stones happened. Because
Right?
your body was like, please, little you was like, please stop being the strong one.
Yeah, thank you. And fuck yes. And so, and I was doing all this generational work. And in the midst of knowing I was about to leave a relationship, that the person is amazing and it's not in alignment. Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll just say that. And having hard conversations with my mother and father in order to heal some relational stuff and to say like, hey, I want to be the kid, right? Like I want to be the kid. And I know I'm doing some like maternal lineage shit where it's like, no, this is the kind of relationship that Jenn needs to be in. I
Yeah.
need to be held in massive ways because of the ways that I hold
You
space.
need to be
And others.
protected and guided and feel like you're not raising somebody or you're not seeing their potential and guiding them to their potential. That's your job. That's not your life.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. And so when you said kidneys, yeah, and I thought of what you taught me years ago, which is talk to your organs.
Yeah.
Talk to your organ. Yeah? Am I getting that right? Like, talk to your organs. And I sat and I was sobbing, and it was the left kidney. Yeah. And I'm like, what do you want me to know? What do you look like? Let's talk. Like having this like energy organ to me person. And I am a person that already receives information.
Yeah.
But it's usually really great at receiving it for others.
Yeah, you're a very deep channel for other people and you hold that space so well. You are such a mother energy, you're such a lioness, you're such this. And then little you is like, when is it
Yep.
my
When is it my turn? Yeah. So yeah, I bring this all in to say, like, can you tell us a little bit about the kidneys or any other organ and this epigenetic piece and probably like define epigenetics, or I can, either of us can, but what do we mean by this epigenetic material, right? Because we know that environment has an impact, right, on our cells, I believe. And we know that epigenetic material carries family information, right?
Yeah,
And biological material, emotional material. Like
man.
when someone is like, what does that have to do with my kidneys? What does that have to do with my liver? What does that have to do with my spleen, my lungs, my heart? Where would we start?
Okay, so I tangent a lot and I go off course. So I'm gonna try and like
No problem. I love it.
the way I would define epigenetics, and right, there's a new study out right now that says that they're seeing emotional precursors in people going back 300 years.
Wow.
So It's think of things that are unresolved in the body getting passed on. The things that are unresolved in utero, the things that you're taking in when your mother is pregnant with you. How were you conceived? What was the pregnancy like? What were her fears that are transmuting into you, into this little thing that is absorbing all these cells? Think of each part of the body. We're going to think of there being an energetic vibration.
Mm.
And I don't mean this in like the bullshit spiritual abuse community, cult, 5D, this vibration. That's not what I mean, because love is not the highest vibration. It's authenticity. Authenticity to your emotions. That is the highest vibrational force. Love can be the most low. It could be the most damaging. Love could be the, I get walked on. I lay down for other people to abuse me because I love. No. Authenticity. So when I say vibrations, I'm not talking in terms of spiritual cult, that stuff. But think of each emotion having a frequency. There's Hertz frequency, and people that do Reiki will understand Hertz frequency. It comes out of their hands. It literally is it's like a grounding, a PEMF mat. So it's the earth. When we're grounding, we're putting our feet on the earth. When we touch a tree and we feel that pulse, that is Hertz frequency. So each part of our body has a certain frequency. And so say we come from a mother that carries sexual abuse, carries shame, carries abuse from her father. We come into this life with this already abandonment, where we think that we have to dance monkey dance for our mothers to be okay. A lot of the times what they think is, oh, having a child will save me. I will raise my child the way I wasn't. And what happens when they fail? We're the child that's dance monkey dance, learns to abandon ourselves very young to make them happy in their shifting moods because they're aware, but they're not aware enough.
Yes.
And then we start taking in their stuff. We start going to relationships that mirror our mom's relationship. We carry these things in us that we are not necessarily even aware of yet because we're children.
Yeah.
But we are giving power to it because we were not raised differently in our environment.
Yeah.
Lipton is a very famous quantum scientist that brought quantum science to the healing realm. Bruce Lipton is a very, very famous quantum scientist that brought healing to the plane of quantum science. And the paradox in a lot of the work that I'm sure you and I both do is I don't necessarily agree with the quote, you can't heal in the same environment you got sick. What is that doing?
Say more. Say more. That's big. Yeah.
That is saying where you come from, give up. Give up. Oh, there's no middle class? Give up. You're going to stay sick forever. And I call bullshit on that. So I believe that we can create our own environment. I believe that on an energetic level.
Yeah.
So epigenetically, if we do the same things as our parents, we generally end up like our parents. But I feel a lot of people have to get sick and learn to fight for themselves to see, oh, no. I'm not going to end up like this. Or they have that one relationship, last straw. They're like, I'm not going to end up like this. But I believe, so it's what we eat, what we listen to, what we put in our body, forever chemicals like phosphate, HPA axis, all those things. But we can also, even if we're in an environment, so think of how many women that are trapped in abusive marriages, abusive relationships, they can't get out. And the way that our society is like, well, just leave. Or if you loved yourself, and there's so much bullshit surrounding that narrative where it's like, no, to love yourself is to say, I'm going to do anything I can to survive another day. I always say in terms of that, I took in a lot of my mother's trauma. I took in my grandmother's trauma, both grandmothers. I took in all of their stuff. And so I'm wandering around in my 20s in these relationships with, like, I was a tattoo artist at the time, like famous tattooers trying to prove my worth to people because I was so severely bullied because my teeth started getting really bad when I was young because guess who else's did? And I took that in. forget where I was going with that.
Well, but mothers and epigenetics, grandmother relationships. Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
stuff. And then like I remember just being in my 20s, like wandering around, like thinking that this is all I deserve. Like, oh, this is the best life is gonna get for me. Going out drinking every night, staying out till God knows when. But that taught me the most about myself, where we're taught to radically shame those versions of ourselves. I learned she gets a seat at the head of the table because she taught me everything that was so suppressed in me that I learned through. I took in her wounds. I took in what she used to do. I took in and mirrored what she used to do so that she would accept me more. I was still doing dance monkey dance in a different version that I could be in charge of being shamed. Does that make sense?
Yes. So when you say that shame takes a seat at the table, right? So how, and I have an idea in my mind, but I'm wondering when you're saying that, what does that look like so that we don't end up also internalizing that shame so much and getting even more unwell or diseased?
So I will say shame that I always somehow come full circle. Shame sits in the kidneys and the bladder. So in terms of traditional Chinese medicine, the bladder channel is the longest channel in the body. It runs up the entire back. So kidneys, bladder are connected. They're a pair. So that's shame. That is mother stuff. That is relationships. That's feeling like no one has your back. It's being pissed off. And think of our kidneys. We have our adrenal glands sitting on top of it. Our adrenal glands are what pump out cortisol. So if your kidneys are constantly go, 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 that's your yin. So the more you're afraid, the more you're in fear, you're in terror, the things. Think of children. If they're used as children, what do? They pee.
Yeah.
Because it's sitting in there. That trauma, that shame. One of the best things that you could do for yourself is literally rub your hands together. This is, and so there are doctors that are organ transplant doctors that say they transplant an organ into somebody and that person starts taking on their characteristics. They start remembering things that aren't theirs. They start feeling a certain way, craving certain things because the organs keep score. So much more than a nervous system, which is such overused, commercialized, fucking let's make money talking about nervous systems when we don't even understand. Let's talk about all the people making so much money off of lowering cortisol when cortisol is a hormone that needs to be synthesized through the liver. So if the liver is overburdened with rage and toxicity and forever chemicals and suppressed emotions, we're not able to do that.
Yes. So what I hear, not to cut you off, what I hear you saying also is that it's not enough to just try to regulate, right, your nervous system or to lower your cortisol, especially if we're not connecting it to the emotions that are connected to that.
Yes, because
organ.
If you've got a version of you, and I'll get back to the kidney practice, but if you have a version of you that is sitting inside you and is in complete repressed adrenaline all the time, how are you lowering something? It's the same thing as the inner child work where people are gaslighting their inner children and saying, oh, you're safe now. Why the fuck is that kid going to feel safe if you're not safe? Those versions come to us when we make life safe enough. That is why you got kidney stones, because you have made life safe enough and you have supported all those versions of you that they now know they can have a seat at the table and you're not going to shame them. You're not going to reinforce their narrative. You're going to say, come, I got you. And I'm ready to listen. And that's a lot of pain. That's a lot of chronic illness. It's the inner child, the inner version saying, I can't do this anymore. And I don't know how to suppress this anymore. Why won't you listen? And we're taught to not listen. We're taught we're not floating heads. And that's when I say talk therapy is necessary, but it's not enough. And we're not taught enough. We're not floating heads.
It's not enough. So Alex, if you know, because there are going to be a lot of people that listen to this that are therapists, helpers, space holders, crisis workers, healers, and some not. And that's great too, right? So like, what might you say to like more of a traditional therapist, helper, healer that is working with people that is trained to do talk therapy? Because that's what I was trained to do, right? We was trained all these hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Which is necessary. There is a place, like it is 100% necessary.
Right? For the safety, right? With that, for removing it, for being able to understand how the mind works, But often what was missing was the connection to like the somatics and the body.
Yeah.
Yeah. And almost never spirit, unless we were talking about mindfulness and meditation.
Yes.
Yeah. And even I went to a school that was very particularly Buddhist, Hindu, had a lot of focus, even in my doctoral program, on the felt sense, on birth trauma. And at the time, people were like, what the fuck? Like, what is this? Like, this isn't a thing. But very rarely was someone talking to us about like, well, how? How do we start?
Yeah.
Right? Like how? So what might you say to people that are like, okay, this is amazing. So what steps might I take, or where do I need to go to learn, or how do I connect it to what you do? Yeah.
So every single person is different. So I can't sit here and say, this is the step by step by step by step. That's
Yep.
why I don't have courses. That's why I don't. Every single person is so individual.
Yes.
Starts with what version of me needs me the most right now to peel back the layer.
Say that again, Alex. So good.
What version of me needs me the most so that I can start to dig into the versions that they're protecting?
Yeah.
So when we go back and we do my body's releasing something. When we go back and we do inner child work, we can't just go back to a traumatized child and say, you're safe, I got you. Because you are gaslighting a child and you're reinforcing the narrative.
Yes.
You have to go to that version, feel it in your body. So what organ, become very aware of TCM, aware of what organ has what emotion, what organ is connected to the other, where are our systems, like learn about the vagus nerve, learn about the HPA axis, learn about forever chemicals that create neuroinflammation, because emotions and trauma, it comes from the gut. It's all in the gut. And what does a traumatized child have? A weakened gut biome. So if we have this weakened gut biome, and that is what is creating this neuroinflammation in our brain, or our brain to not be able to have the thoughts that we necessarily want. Trauma to the body is a physical act. And we're just so taught to not understand that. So if we can go into our body with the same compassion as if we got hit by a car, we can understand our body, because a lot of people get frustrated. They're like, okay, well, I did the breath work. I did this. I got Reiki. I did ayahuasca. I did this. Why do I still feel bad? And it's like, because these things can't get rid of self.
Yes.
So we can, in terms of, like I said, we can create our own environment. So anchor. I always have people anchor. They think their heart, no. The heart has the pericardium around it. In TCM, you have so many fighter pilots around your heart to keep you alive. Think of fight or flight. What is the only organ that we necessarily need? The body shuts down everything else. So if you're in chronic fight or flight, your gut shut down. Everything shut down. So let's anchor to the liver. The liver is your end all be all. There is a famous philosopher that said, in all disease and all issues of the body, look to the liver. The liver.
Sorry, like fatty liver, like what do they call it when they're like your liver's overtaxed? There's a term for it where they're like
Burdened?
Burdened, yeah. Yeah. Is it all of that? Is that what you mean?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Energetically, emotionally, and think of, so we're living in a society, and I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole today, but we're living in a society that we have so many chemicals on our food. We have so many 5G. We have so many toxins. We have so much pollution that people will say, well, no, the body can detox the stuff on its own. And it's like maybe 70 years ago. Our kidneys and our liver are so overburdened. Go on social media and tell me you're not seeing at least 5 things that are disrupting your nervous system that you have no control over. You close your phone and you're like, oh my God. And then that's stuck in you. Our bodies are not capable of detoxing at the rate that which this earth is hurting us. So when we think of all the repressed emotions, then all the chemicals or molds, bacteria, like let's think of, why does mold affect some people and not others? Repressed emotions eventually erupt. So
repressed emotions eventually erupt. Yes. Yes.
Let's connect to our livers first. I always say, rub your hands together. Same thing with the kidney. your liver, you have to understand your kidneys. Think of the shapes of them. It's the most sad. It's the shamed. It's the kid that doesn't know any better.
Yeah.
It's the kid that says, I didn't know that I wasn't supposed to do that. I didn't know I wasn't supposed to beg for love from somebody that was mean to me. I don't know the difference. So we have to go to the fighter. We have to go to the spite. We have to go to the rage. We have to go to the, how the fuck did I get here?
Yes.
We have to go to the virgin that's like, I'm going to protect that kid at all costs. Watch this, and does the work so that we can peel back those layers to make that little baby feel safe.
Yes.
The liver.
Yes.
Go in and you go, what version of me needs me?
What version of me needs me? Mm-hmm.
Even if you don't see anything, guess what? You've already started the cycle. Even if you're in here and you're like, I can't see anything. It's not working for me. So in homeopathy, we call that the defense mechanism. So let's think of the defense mechanism in healing. I can't see anything. I'm not good at this. So you just told yourself you're not worthy of healing. Let's think of, well, I'm trying. Okay. What does that tell you about yourself? You have tried all different modalities and nothing feels like works for you. So you really give up. The defense mechanism is our mechanism to how we're going to make ourselves not heal because of trauma. So if we look and examine, so say you're connecting, you're like, I can't see anything. Okay, this is my defense mechanism. Okay. Well, you know what? I'm fighting through this because the world has made me feel like I'm not worthy of saving. The world's made me feel like I'm not worthy of love. I'm not worthy of this. I have to show myself differently. So we connect and we say, hey, listen, whatever version of me needs me, even if I can't hear you, even if I can't see you, I'm here and I got you back. And then you start to see, what did you dream about? What food were you craving? What beyond? Who happened to add you on the internet?
Get curious. Yeah, I tell people all the time, be your own social scientist. Like during the week, like get curious about yourself. Don't judge it, but just like get curious and start paying attention to the pattern. And that's what I hear you saying a bit, right? Like pay attention to this pattern as you're having this relationship with liver, with kidneys. Yeah, but particularly liver.
Highly suggest so people say to me all the time, they're like, well, how do I do this if I'm poor? And I'm like, I've done this shit poor in abusive relationships, broke, living out of my car, drunk until 7 a.m. Like, if you want to heal, you're gonna do it. The most free thing you could do, and we live in a society where people think that, well, what's the defense mechanism? I can't afford to heal. I have to work. I have to do this. Okay, take a bath at night when you get home from work. Okay, you want to know what's free? Connect to your organs. But our colonized society wants people to believe, no, you have to get up at 5 a.m., meditate for 3 hours and drink water, do all these things. No, that's not practical. Yeah, maybe if you're, and no offense, maybe if you're a trust fund kid and you can do those things in your Brooklyn loft, maybe you can do that. But for some of us, we don't have that. No. So what is free? And I have a video on my Instagram. It's like almost completely free ways to heal yourself. We look at all these things that people can afford. Okay, connect your organs. That is the best thing you could do. Do something for your inner child that they loved.
Yes.
Call little you back to you instead of just going and talking to the kid. Pull them out of there. So you're collapsing timelines. So they're no longer sitting on this quantum timeline. Call them back to you. Integrate them back into your body. Feel them come back into you. Create a chart that is your table of all versions of you. And change one at the head. For me, Alex, that left her ex-fiance, he was a famous tattoo artist. I was a tattooer. I was impressionable. I was young. He was much older than me. I'd just become a Reiki master. I was like on top of the world. And then the world failed me at the time. She went out drinking every night. She was dating anyone that would have her. She had no idea how to make it to the next day.
Yeah.
But she did anything she could to survive. So for her, she sits at the head of the table. Because when Alex didn't want to live and she had a death wish and she didn't know The world failed her again. She had just gotten her netting. She had just become a Reiki master, understood herself. She finally felt hope again, and then the world drowned her.
Mm.
She did anything she could to survive.
Mm.
So she gets a seat at the head of the table. I don't look back at her. Think of any version of yourself, and if you're on your road to kidney work or on your road to liver work, and you get triggered about a version of you, and you're like, "Oh God, I can't believe I did that." Who needs you the most?
That version.
They need to be understood. Why did they do that? And let's go back to, what did your mom do when she was young? What happened to her?
Yes.
What caused you to eject yourself from your parents and just go out there and think that you deserve to feel like shit all the time?
Yes.
And no one is listening to you.
Yes, absolutely. So what might you say for folks that are, and of course, this is an area that I'm deeply interested in and that I love supporting people around, but rage is my best friend. And I don't mean the kind of rage, right, that is always like flipping over fucking tables or like punching someone in the face. I'm not just talking about that, although it's there, right? Like, but
Yeah.
I had to love that version of me, right? That felt like, "Oh shit, I'm like my father. Oh my god, I'm fighting all the time." Like as a teenager, like, "Oh my gosh, I'm being a bully because I'm bullied at home." Right?
Yeah.
Like so I had to like love on this version of myself to hear rage say, like, "I just want to protect you. I just
Yep.
want to fucking protect you. Like, let me love you." And it's like, wait, wait, I thought you were here to like fuck shit up with me, not protect me and love me. And then had to look at what that was about and like, oh, can I not receive love with this or that? And so I'm wondering from the vibrational, as you're saying, the non-woo, like energetic vibrational center, if you can just talk a little bit about rage and where that might be located in the body and maybe one or two things folks can do that are free to meet and not shame that energy.
So when we think of emotions, emotions are something the body creates. We don't just think of, like we said, it's not our brain it's all in here. So if we have an emotion that comes up, it's coming naturally. It's not something that we could just say, "Oh, you have anger issues," or, "Oh, you have this." Okay, that's not going to make it go away. You're
Yes.
going to suppress something that's going to find another home. And that is the beginning of disease.
Oh,
So when we think of rage, that's our body saying no more. Rage is the child. Rage is the adult. Rage is the protector. Rage is the sword. Rage is the saying, no one is doing this to me anymore. Think of all the times in your life, and it really does come back to some sort of either physical abuse as a kid or sexual abuse as a kid.
yeah, absolutely.
Are frozen, and you can't say, "Get me," or "No," or you don't have a choice in something, or a parent forces you to do something that you don't really like or you think is wrong. It's all the times. You have to think of how many times we piled up and piled up and piled up and piled up all these emotions in us, all the times we have the fight or flight, or we freeze like this, and then it comes back in us and goes into our shoulders, goes back into our heart, goes into our hand. A lot of people have shoulder issues and hand tingling and numbness. Think of, or neck pain. Think of how many times you went,
Yes.
just like in a car accident, you're bracing the car accident to bring that full circle with that. So anywhere on your body to feel rage is to just say, "I understand. You are valid." Validating our emotions is the greatest gift you can give to your body, to any sort of inflammation, to any sort of infection, to any sort of chronic illness, autoimmune. Validation.
Yeah.
And anywhere. Liver is the organ. So it's liver, gallbladder, right? They're a pair. How many women you know have their gallbladders removed?
So many.
Because when the large organ can't take it anymore, it goes into the less necessary organ because we have to survive.
Woo! That makes so much sense.
Gallbladder is resentment. It's repressed adrenaline. It's decision making. It's forced decision. So what happens when we're like, life has made the decisions for me, I'm not in control, we give up, so does our gallbladder. Gallbladder said, "I have so much shit in here. I have so much sludge. I can't take this anymore. I can't take this anymore." And
Yeah.
it self-implodes.
Yes.
So people should look at their organs and the way that they're feeling the pain in their body as signals and signs. It's our body trying to say, like, so think of the rage in the liver, and it goes to the gallbladder, and the gallbladder's like, I'm so sick of having to make decisions. I'm sick of having to do this. And we're telling our body, no, that's a low vibrational emotion. Transmute it to love because everything's love. No, full circle integrity. So you put your hands here, 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 because also our endocrine system is the closest linked to our spiritual system. Our endocrine system is everything, and we are so dismantled and so disconnected from these things that are so intertwined. So liver, gallbladder, so connected to thyroid, so endocrine system. So when we think of suppressing our rage, suppressing our anger, what are we creating? And then we're given synthesized hormones. Here, take this. You'll feel better, instead of understanding, why are we not asking, why are my hormones disrupted?
Yes.
What are endocrine disruptors? Perfume, toxic chemicals in shampoo and conditioner, our fucking soap, our deodorant. So there is such a system in play to keep us sick.
Plastics.
Rage.
Yeah, PPA.
So connecting, glyphosate, forever. So everyone has neuroinflammation. They're told, oh no, just take this, just do this. And we're the one thing that we are the closest to, we're the most disconnected from and the most unimportant. So our rage, you put your hands, liver, gallbladder. Your liver is always a really good anchor point, I've learned. And I've been doing this 17 plus years. Your liver is a really good anchor point. Because it is in charge. It's almost like, I call the liver, in the most like fun way possible. Because I've talked to so many livers, like thousands of livers throughout my years of this work. And I always call the liver like the narcissist of the organs. Good way. And it's like, okay, you can't handle this. It's like the Virgo.
Yes.
Virgo stomach spleen. I'm a Virgo, so I could say that.
Virgo rising, Virgo Venus.
So it's like you don't know how to do this.
Yeah.
I got it. Or you don't know, I got it. And it takes on so much. And it represses all of that anger, all of that rage. And then, so liver fire, that's your eczema, that's your rashes, that's your weakness in the body. That is heart, the liver, the heat rises into the heart. That's heart palpitations. That's, you can't catch your breath. That's like feeling so erratic and like you can't move in your body because the liver's like, I can't fucking hold all this for you anymore.
Yes.
I'm done being your savior.
Yes.
Can't handle it.
Yes. Yes.
What were you were gonna add something?
I'm just thinking of all the people out there and the folks that are listening that are like, you're fucking talking to me. Like, you're talking to me right now. And people feeling emotional and feeling, and like when we're so activated, triggered, what have you, that even though you're communicating, like, these are some simple steps, talk to it, touch it, rub your hands, put your hands on here. There's still a feeling like I need to do more because hello, consumeristic, capitalistic culture, right? And a feeling like it's not good enough, or a feeling, and you've written about this too, and I fucking love it, which is like, yeah, sometimes you're going to feel really shitty and feel worse before it starts to feel better. So like when people are in the midst of really fucked up symptoms, really hard physical pain, or long-term chronic pain and illness, it feels like there's no way to like get out and climb out. And I don't know, I just want to put that there. Like, so what about those folks that are just like, yeah, fuck, I'm in pain all the time, or I don't know how to shift out of this, or as you're saying this so resonates, and I don't know what else to do, and these drugs are helping me stay alive, I think, or like stay not alive, like kind of keeping me out of pain, and I don't want to be there anymore. What the fuck? Like, right? And then the stress of that's what I'm thinking of as well, right? Like the stress of the poor liver hearing us say, I don't want to be like this anymore. I don't want to deal with this pain. And
so if we think of a child having a tantrum,
yeah,
we have to say, well, what happened? If we think of a body having a tantrum, and I'm not calling it a tantrum in a negative light at all.
Yeah.
Think of the body having these large reactions and going into all this pain. We have to say, why? We have to say, you're allowed to feel like this.
Yeah.
literally 2 weeks ago. So this last year for me has been insane. The amount of I've confronted people that groomed me when I was underage. I've confronted all the things that I've now made life strong enough to be able to do.
Yes.
I've confronted some of the darkest parts of my story. And when I tell you, I call it, and me and my Reiki teacher, who literally saved my life when I was 17, we call it the spiritual flu, where you don't have a fever, but you have these aches and these pains because your body is having to reintegrate. Your body is having to say, this is where it hurt when you were dissociated. This is where it hurt when I couldn't understand what was going on. This is what I carried when you didn't know that I was carrying it because you were in fight or flight. You were in survival. You were going day to day.
Yeah.
And so when we say, okay, I understand you're in pain. I can't even imagine what that was like for you. I'm here for you. We have to just say, I got your back. I'm here for you. Because in all this consumerism, we're told to go this way, to go that way. No, you have to heal your nervous system. No, you have to do this. No, you have to detox. No, you have to do that. No, you have to. We're still disconnected. So what is any of this doing? Nothing.
Yes.
Nothing. You may feel a little better, like, doing a castor oil pack. It helps pull the emotion out. So that's another part of my practice. But you can't necessarily get the benefits of detoxification, and you're not necessarily going to get better. If you don't hear, there's pathological consciousness. In virus, in mold, in parasite, there is pathological consciousness. So let's think back. And you're going to really like this. So if I talk to somebody whose parents were, okay, so I come from Syrian refugees. So what epigenetically does that teach me to probably do? Fawn.
Yes.
Repress, stay quiet, go day to day. So if I think of all of that's sitting inside me and I go into a freeze whenever something happens and I'm being told to make a fucking gratitude list, who is that helping? That's helping the person that's helping me feel better. That's not helping me. If I think back in terms of what's happened to the women and men in my lineage, what has developed in my cells over time, those certain things. So if you're telling somebody that, say their mom was raped and she has to carry, and she was like, no, I'm still going to have this. And you're telling a kid to make a when she has all this fucking anger in her.
What are you grateful for? Cognitive dissonance. It's a mind fuck too. Yeah.
At some point, we have to understand, and this is the authenticity of people like you and I that say things against the grain. Like, you were the first person I ever saw talking about decolonizing therapy. Because I remember seeing people and being like, wow, that's really fucking invalidating. Or, oh, must be nice. Or the amount of people that have millions of followers out there that are psychologists that literally rip me off and give me no credit. And I'm like,
You know who they are.
Yeah. Oh, you're talking about talking to the organs now when it was, no, make a gratitude list.
Yes.
And I'm not shitting on that, right? I believe that everything that is given as a tool is being weaponized against us when it had a good intention. There is a place for things like that. So I'm not just shitting on that, because that could be something that makes somebody. I tell people, listen, if everything feels like shit right now and you feel like shit and you feel like giving up, tell your body, I understand you feel this way. I know that life is so fucking hard for you right now. You're allowed to sit in that. You could be attached to your healing narrative. And that could be gratitude list is like, yes, I do have a house. Yes, I do have these things. And I'm not invalidating myself by having that, but let me feel. That's the disconnect. It's the let me feel like shit. Let me say, this sucks. I want to, we can say those things because those are emotions in our body, and words are just the only thing we have to bring out an emotion. So say, I want to fucking die. I can't handle this. I'm so fucking overwhelmed, but I don't want to do this anymore. I know I'm going to be okay, but holy shit, just let me feel like shit. That's how we get rid of the rage.
Yes.
Begin to heal and hear ourselves. When we can hear the disconnect, because it's like we were taught and it's been weaponized for us to speak a different language than our body. We
Yeah.
need to learn that language.
Yeah, learn the language. And I'm hearing you say also even like integrate it, right? Like bring it into the body, like bring it to the head of the fucking table, right? And listen to it and let every other organ, emotion, experience say, "Ah, we see you." And I do think, and I don't know your thoughts on this, and I do think that's why I was like so drawn to like group work, right? Because on some interesting level, it wasn't just a like, oh, like some big trauma researchers would be like, oh, it's just people reenacting their trauma and talking about their trauma over and over. Like, yeah, if not done well, it can be a fuck show and it can look like that. But really, what it also is when you can like create a space where folks are actually accountable, where big emotions are okay, where being annoyed is okay, where we're saying, I don't want to fucking do this, or sitting there all pissed off, it allows somebody to come in and say, this is what fucking happened, and other people to witness it and not shame them,
Yeah.
not make them feel like they're a piece of shit, not feel like, oh, you asked for it, you created this, but I'm going to love you despite, or I'm going to like you, or I'm going to see the totality of who you are as a human despite all of these shitty things you might have done and experienced, because we haven't all been like wonderful little angels, right? Like we have done
And
shit that we
and
don't
what do
feel
we
good
do
about.
with that?
Right, right,
Oh, right there. I'm going to
right.
give it right there. So
Yes,
we haven't all been wonderful angels, but we did the best we could with what we knew. And if
yes,
you're dedicated to doing better, you can hear the plea and the cry from that version.
yes, yes, yes.
Because some people are inherently terrible. Some people are shitty. I would never be somebody that's like, everybody has a good heart. I don't believe
The-
that, but neuroscience proves it. There are some people, their brains are completely shut off. They have certain neurotransmitters that don't fucking work the way that we do, and they have zero empathy. I think there are plenty of pieces of shit in the world. But if you're attached to your healing narrative,
Yeah.
yes, I've done bad things. Yes, I've done things I'm not proud of. I've done things in the face of survival that was not my favorite version of me, but
Yeah.
I love her anyway.
Yes, yes, yes. So if 10-year-old Alex was sitting here and watching us and watching you and is like, oh, snap. Like, what would 10-year-old Alex have to say about what you're doing in the world, what you're talking about, how you're helping people literally find healing, health, and a reason to be alive again? What would 10-year-old Alex say to you, to us?
10-year-old Alex was the first version of me that realized that things were not okay.
Mm.
So it's interesting that you also said 10-year-old Alex because 10-year-old Alex loved to rollerblade. And she was the first version that ever got really involved in competitive martial arts. I think she would be really, really, really confused, but really happy.
Confused by like the receiving and the like the mediumship?
I no, because that's been a part of me I've been seeing the dead since I was 4. Like I had a woman
Oh.
come in with one eye, come into my bedroom when I was like 5, 4 or 5, and just say, everything's okay. You don't have to worry. And I'm just like, oh, okay. And then to know that my great grandma that was abused by her husband in Syria and he knocked out her eye that I never met. I'm like, oh. So I thought everybody could do it, though, to be fair. I thought everyone could see spirit. I thought it was like the most normal thing in the world. Come to realize it's not. I'm gonna give a really quick story and I'll get back to 10-year-old me just to explain to people how deep. So there are people that will never heal from grief. And grief is huge.
Yes.
And to give people some faith of how much spirit loves them and is with them, the house that I live in right now, the first 2 months I moved in here, I got a breathing issue, a very deep breathing issue at 9 o'clock at night, like clockwork. My face would get red everywhere. I wouldn't be able to breathe. My heart would feel a stabbing pain, and I would think, oh my God, I'm dying. I don't want to die. I started randomly listening to classical music. Don't know why. I would smell like cigarette smoke everywhere. And I was like, who? And then I'm like, this is definitely spirit. And every reading I was doing, I was like, this doesn't feel connected to you, but do you by any chance? And they're like, no. And I'm like, what is going on? So one day I'm outside because I knew it was spirit. My body, clockwork. I pictures. My boyfriend every night was like, oh, I'm like, this is obviously spirit because he's been with me 3 years now. So he's like very used to like, well, is it you or is it spirit or is it? So I'm outside randomly talking to a neighbor and I was like, did anyone die next door? And she was like, oh yeah, the guy who built the house. And I was like, okay, she said his name. And she was like, yeah, he built the house. He used to around like 9, he would, start blasting classical music out of the back of the house. And I was just like, and listen, I know what I do. And I was like, so I come back over here and I'm like, all right, what do you need from me? And he was like, you have to find my kids. And I was like, are you fucking kidding? And he's like, you have to find my kids. And I was like, okay. So I searched his name and the address because he built the house. The family was the only other family that ever lived here.
Okay.
And I found his daughter on Instagram and I sent her a DM. And I was like, hey, this is real. And I had to do it for my account that's like verified with a lot of followers because I have a private account, but I was like, that'll see. So it's like okay, this is not a joke. So I'm like, hi, you don't know me, but this. And then he said he died like this. And this is what he's saying. And this, and this. And so it was a few days before she got back to me because I guess she did it. And I was like, oh no, she thinks I'm crazy. I'm like, George, I'm sorry. Like calm down. It's all good. Because after I acknowledged him and I reached out to his daughter, all the symptoms went away. And I was like, you motherfucker. So I have a very good relationship with spirit. So I want to make that like, I can joke. There's still them on the other side.
Yeah.
So she finally gets back to me. She was like, what the fuck? How do you know all this? Like, I've never told anyone that. I invited her over and her brother for a reading.
Yeah.
I read them. First of all, this felt like a Lifetime. She's like, I told my friends and they're like, you're in a real Lifetime movie. And so she said, and obviously I will divulge personal.
Yes, of course. Yes.
So he died in this house on hospice from lung cancer. And his daughter said that he was very into like quantum science, but she said that when he was on hospice, she said, Dad, if there is an afterlife and you're okay, please find a way to let me know. Please find a way to find me. And then I said to her, because I was like, he's just saying to let you know he's fine. He's here. He hasn't left you. He's on the other side. He knows his grandkids. And I said, he's saying energy cannot be created nor be destroyed. And her brother lost it. They were like, he believed in the quantum timeline. He believed like all that stuff. So he was, and one time can't say it because I put him on a different station and she put classical back on. And I was like, George. So I want that to show people how strong spirit can be on the other side because he promised her, I guess, on hospice, she said, please find a way to find me. And he did. He found a way to find her. So there's a lot of people that will have, the body doesn't really understand and the brain doesn't understand how to understand death. Because that's another thing we're disconnected from.
Yes.
Spirit is all around us. The body can't process death because there's no such thing. Spirit is all around us. Energy is all around us. And it's when we learn to understand and know that like you can sit and talk to your people that aren't here. Like if you have all this rage because you lost a parent young or you had a partner that died in a freak accident and this is stuff I see every day in my work. Put your hands on your body and just picture them and talk to them. Your body, picture them so you can let go of that rage. You can let go of that anger, that frustration, that body pain, that fucking self-punishment to understand our bodies don't necessarily know how to grieve certain things like that. And we're allowed to be mad, and spirit's okay with you being mad at them. They welcome it. They're like, what am I going to do? Argue with you? I mean, sometimes spirit has come in and argue with their wife.
Sometimes arguing is fun.
Yeah. But it's like, you can be mad at spirit and they can handle it. Say a woman had a daughter that didn't love them the way, or chose a boyfriend over them, and now the mom's dead, and now you're sitting there saying we were just starting to get a relationship and you left me. You're allowed to be mad at them. You're allowed to grieve those parts, because sometimes those are the parts that keep us in chronic illness, chronic pain, autoimmune. So you are allowed to grieve those parts and know that your departed loved one, even if you haven't felt them, you haven't dreamed about them, you're mad, feel like they don't have your back.
Yeah.
You just
Yes.
part of, and animals too. Animals are there and they love you.
You just read my mind. Did you do it on purpose? Did you just read? I literally was about to say, I know we have to wrap up. However, quick thought, because there's so many of us that are love. I think you and I have talked about this at some point, that the love that we don't know where to put it, and it's safe to love animals, and there's such a purity with so many, such a beautiful purity. And I saw a deer on my walk, and she came out. She was so close to me. I feel compelled to say this. I don't know why, but I'm going to share this. I was on my walk at Verona Park, and I love looking at animals and things. And I was like kind of processing and releasing some stuff that a friend shared with me about the election. And I wasn't feeling this way, but friend was really fucked up about it. Right. And like expecting something.
You had your whole case for a lot of women in this.
Yes. And all of a sudden, I'm like, this little doe comes out, and I'm still thinking about this doe. I just want to put this out there, and I'm pissed that like nobody's been able to help me, and I haven't been able to find her again. She comes out from like by the water, and she looks like she's hobbling a little bit, and I'm like, hi. So I hang up with the friend who was like talking, and I was like, it's okay, you got this. And I just felt compelled, and it was so close. Usually they scatter away, or they'll be with their little friends or their family. And she came so close. And then all of a sudden I see the hobble, and she must have gotten hit by a car. And this one, I think it's the right leg, was completely just like not you. Like it was just like a little stick. Like it wasn't. And I'm like, no, 'cause I can't handle animal pain. I mean, I can't handle like pain like that in general. I just feel it. And then I'm like, oh shit, I got to release this from my body. But she seemed to be okay. She hopped past, but both knees seemed to be a little like messed up and bloody, but she was doing her best. And she goes and she, is like eating some grass and whatever. And I stopped, and this other man stopped. And I was like, I think I'm going to try to call somebody. Maybe they can come and like help her out or wrap it up. But I just don't want her.
They won't help her out. You did the right thing.
I found that out. And so I just stopped, and I just did whatever energetic, anything I could to just like send her as much healing as possible. She gave me her name, and I kind of just like had this little moment, and I felt some baby tears, and I cried. I get really be emotional like this. And I thought to myself, I fucking love animals. And
we're talking to right now. Like I am an animal advocate. I've done rehabilitate. I've pet rats because they're the most innocent sentient creatures on the planet. I have a little mouse right there that was sick at a rescue. So I brought her home. She's on antibiotics. Animals are our deepest connection to our innocence and our inner child. And the way that we view them is the way we wish the world viewed us. And I will help you feel better about that deer. I had a deer, a family, that my old house, I fed them every night. And so we had Betty. She had 3 legs because she was hit by a car. She had a hobbly leg that just didn't work, and she lived her life. She had babies. She ate corn every day. She was super happy.
Okay. So it's possible. Like even when we're going through our own diseases and disabilities and not being well, we still deserve happiness, and we can be okay. Thank you, Alex. I think we can keep talking for hours. I want to thank you for being not a breath of fresh air, but a fucking gale storm wind slash massive, beautiful, because I think there's beauty, right? Like not when it hits land and fucks up people's homes or whatever, but like the beauty in the like hurricane, the beauty of the fucking tsunami, the beauty of the earthquake underwater. Like again, and I understand like humans have come and colonized land and like we're built on top of these like beautiful manifestations, right, of nature. But I just want to say thank you for the truth that you bring, the high fucking frequency vibration of authenticity that you've always brought. You've always been this, like this energy.
We say
Thank you.
never sell my soul. You could see the people. You could see the people that
Never.
sell their soul. Not
Yes. Yes. Same here. And thank you also for bringing this re-education, which is really at its root. That's what this podcast is like talking to all different types of people, even if they don't identify as such, that I believe are root workers, like working at the core, at the root of things,
yeah.
helping us to remember that we have the capacity to make ourselves and each other as well as possible while we're on this motherfucking earth, right? Or and after, and after, right? And after, and how do we be that like good ancestor fucking now before transitioning? I want to thank you, listeners, for just stepping in and allowing yourself to receive all of this. I would love for y'all to also drink a lot of water today because I believe that Alex and myself, like the mixture of both of us, there's just probably a lot running through you. If you're having big emotion, whether it's irritation, agitation, rage, sadness, grief, whatever it looks like in you, allow yourself to feel that. And that we are never again going to be in this place, at this space, at this time, with both of us here, in this particular podcast, in this moment, with this emotion popping up. So thank y'all for being here. And Alex, how can people find you? What are you doing?
Well, first, I want to say that I did bring something to the altar.
Thanks for the reminder.
I brought my notebook. So this is my notebook of every reading I've done this month. This is people's stories. This is people's life. These are traumas. These are things that I feel inside people well before, like you would see where I did a shitty drawing for one of my clients of how certain pains in the body, they're connected to the emotion. We have to pull it out. And this is the stories of everybody. And without these people, I can't do what I do. Without these people, my gift is just for me. So they give me purpose. They give me life. They give me a reason to keep going, to keep fighting. And this medical work, the medical intuitive work that I've done and the physically feeling it in the body and the way that I'm able to hear things inside people, I was granted scholarships by doctors and boards of doctors. And
Yes.
I have levels of certifications now in deeper understanding of the body and the backing that now I'm talking on boards of doctors talking about the emotions and the energy in the body. And I said homeopathy saved my life. And now I'm in clinical homeopathy. I'm in school right now. I'm being mentored by doctors. I'm being told by doctors that the things that I hear in my head are decades ahead of medical science. Like the things that I hear and the way that I hear trauma in the body, the things that I'm able to do, it's all happening now. And I'll never say getting sick was the best thing that ever happened to me because I have to hold space. And I often go back to that girl and I go to her in her bed and I say, Al, you're gonna make it. You're okay. Like, I'm so sorry how scared you are because you know that when you're a healer and you help people, everyone's always like, oh, be okay. You're always okay. And that validates the shit out of people that help other people.
Yes. Yes.
So we have to do that for us. So I wanted to bring this because I mean, I could flip through pages and the things that I write for people and the way that I'm able to feel inside their bodies. And these people allow me to do it. And I wear mostly black and my bedroom is black. My living room is black, but this is white and pure. And so I have I'm going to be speaking on panels that I'll be posting, but my main work is on Instagram. It's Alex March Energy. I post so much self-healing and ways you could help yourself for free and all those things. And I just want people to remember the work for people like us, people like you and I, we're going against the grain.
Yes.
It's not popular to go against the grain.
No, it's not.
Hard. And for people, I was so bullied. I had a very, very horrific childhood. And so for me to be bullied and just I spent my whole life trying to be accepted, just to now be like, I don't want to be accepted. I want to be heard.
Yes.
And the full circles, I just want people to remember, maybe you don't necessarily believe in spirit. Maybe you don't necessarily believe in certain things like that, but you could believe in your body enough to know that if it got sick, it wants to survive.
Yes. 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 But if you got sick, your body wants to survive.
If you have a pain, say you slam your knee on something, your body is trying to talk to you. It's saying, pay attention to nature, pay attention to what is coming in your path. Say you see a deer, you see an injured deer, their leg. Think of yourself. Where can you place that to yourself? Everything, nature, humans have destroyed nature. Humans have destroyed the most beautiful systems. The ocean is filled with pollution. Like, think of when I go to Costa Rica, it's all blue zone because they've rebuilt half their land. They don't even let people on to keep it sacred and to keep like the ecosystems going. It's our job to not only take care of each other and take care of ourselves, but take care of our earth so our earth could take care of us.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
If you want to step out of bullshit, pop psychology that's been radically colonized to fit the narrative of somebody to look like they're altruistic and they have so much wisdom, and they look at people like us and they say they're so angry, they're so mad, they obviously haven't done the work. No, we're mad because we have.
Yes.
We're mad because of people like that.
Yes.
Want to keep people stuck because you may think you're free. You may think you're free just because you're conscious now and you see things, but you're not.
No.
So get free.
Get fucking free. Alex March, y'all. Thank you so much. Please follow Alex on Instagram. Grab a session while you can, because my spidey senses tell me you're going to be very, very, very busy over the next years. And we need you. I am so glad doctors are getting wise to your wisdom and other people's wisdom that are seeing in other ways, seeing with a capital S, knowing with a capital K. Fucking thank you, Alex, for being a real one. I appreciate you. And I'm going to leave y'all with another Alex March, NWP, MBIS, RMT quote, right? If you're feeling more emotional than ever, you are being presented with large releases, large shifts. Things you thought were over are coming up in a large way to be released from your body. Things that have been sitting in your lungs, deep grief, deep sadness you couldn't feel before. It's coming up. If your body feels it, you can heal it. Allow the stories to come up and talk to them now. Thank you so much, Alex. Thank you, folks, for listening. Please resource yourself. Please talk to your organs, your body, anchor in, and make a seat at the table for these parts of you that society or even your own self and family have exiled. Thanks for being here. This is Dr. Jenn from Root to Bone. Mad love. From Root to Bone is a podcast from Decolonizing Therapy. It is hosted by me, Dr. Jenn Mullen. Our producer is Tribble at Ash Tribble Incorporated. Original music by Laura Burke and cover art by Madre Shell. Don't forget to find us on Instagram at Decolonizing Therapy and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Decolonizing Therapy, for the full video version of each episode. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your people and leave us a 5-star rating wherever you listen to podcasts. That helps people find us. For more info about Decolonizing Therapy, visit our website, www.decolonizingtherapy.com. Be well.